Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today I'm at First Congregational Church in St. Louis, Missouri. With me is Dr. Sarah Bereza. She's the minister of music and organist here. Welcome. Thank you for being here and showing us this wonderful 1925 Austin organ. How many ranks does this instrument have?
I think it has 52.
52 ranks, all from 1925, although there have been a few little modifications here and there.
There's some modifications, yes.
The console is actually by Moeller. 1954, I believe they replaced it. So it originally had all key tabs, Austin style, and now we have Moeller style draw knobs. So it's a wonderful instrument. It's all right here in the front of the church. Right in your face almost.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
You can kind of see some pipes. You can see they're back there. There's a decorative arrangement, but nothing is really supposed to be visible.
Yeah, very Congregationalist church.
Well, yeah, very simple, austere, but a lovely, warm, romantic sound in this instrument.
Yes.
So let's listen to it a little bit. I want to start with the great. Let's start about this 8-foot principle. It's right here in the front.
It is.
So play a little. Yeah, very warm.
There's a lot of breath in it.
Not a lot of edge in it. Not a bright principal sound. So then we have a 4-foot octave that goes up above that. Again, really big scaled and warm. And then a quint, 2 2/3, is next. And then a 2-foot super octave, which brightens it up even more. Not super bright yet. I mean, it's still very warm and broad principal sound. Well, the mixture I know has been tweaked a little bit. So we have a 4 and 5 rank mixture. Let's turn that on and see what that does. Yeah, that's not the original 1925 Austin sound. We can tell some changes have been made there. But it does, it's big caps. It gives you a nice big bright principal chorus if you want. And then we can even add, we have a sub-principal that's below that, a 16-foot. Quite a big sound. So
it is,
that really fills the room. All right, what else have we got? And we also have another stop in here. We have an 8-foot diapason in addition to the principal.
And you know, this diapason is what I tend to use on a Sunday morning. It really balances the choir sound really well.
Softer, more broad scale. Compare that to the principal for me. That's the principal and then the diapason. Simpler, flutier sound there.
It is, yeah.
And then we do have a 8-foot Borden, which is right here. Lovely soft flute there. And then 4-foot flute harmonique. I like this style. Lovely little solo flute there. If you can combine it with the 8-foot.
Nice.
Yeah, lovely little sound. And then one other stop in there, an 8-foot Gemshorn, which I don't believe was original. I think this was added, if I'm not right. Sounds like a flute.
We'll do all three of these together: the Borden 8, the Gemshorn 8, and the flute harmonique.
Kind of just a softer accompanimental sound. Very good. And then over here next to it we have the choir. Let's talk about where things are actually based here. The great's right here in front, and then the choir is behind it, and then the swell is over on that side. So those are divided. So in the choir, and this is a nice, lovely English choir here. We'll start at the bottom. We have an 8-foot flute ouverte. Beautiful sound, and that open flute. And then it has, to go with it, a flute celeste.
And it is not actually a flute celeste.
It is not
It's apparently a flute that was tuned sharp, and I've had it tuned back to its original pitch.
Oh, so now it's a separate, independent 8-foot. Okay. Compare that to the ouverte flute. Oh, very different sound.
And so now I have two. It increases the flexibility of what I have.
See, indeed. And those are both open flutes, but very different sound, and you give it the 2 different 8-foot. So then we do have a celeste, though. It starts with the Klein Erzähler, which I love this. Nice little string there. And then the Erzähler.
Such a nice sound.
Yeah, that's very nice. And then we go up into the 4-foots. We have a Rohr flute. Gentle little flute. How does that sound with the ouverte flute? You even have the other flute in there. That gives you a little different sound. Yeah. And going on up, we can continue. We have a Nazat 2 2/3. I'm going to put the 8/4 and 2 2/3 on. And then we have a 2-foot that goes on top of that. And a terz, 1 1/3. We get our cornet. Tremolo to even. It's a very fast tremolo, but it works. And then we go to some reeds. We've got an 8-foot clarinet. It's a big, nice clarinet. And then a lovely English horn in the choir. You've got a lot of options for solo and accompanimental color in this choir division, just in those number of ranks.
Makes for great prelude music.
And of course, all of these have coupler 16/4 and listen off, so you can put them anywhere else that you need to.
We also have these stops here.
Oh, of course. We have a real harp playing in there in the choir. And it all works. It's amazing to find a harp. And then it's available up an octave as a celesta, so you can have both octaves.
Here we come Christmas.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
All right, while we're over here, we also have a solo division.
Yeah.
We'll play around things if we need to. I'm just going to start at the bottom. We have a big flute harmonique. This is a big harmonic flute. That's quite a big sound. And then we go up to an orchestral oboe, nice skinny scale. Yeah, it's lovely. And then a French horn stop, very rare. Usually they're very gentle, but that one has a lot to it. And then, of course, the big tuba, which is right up here. Room-filling tuba there. So yeah, a lot of colors there too, and it's just a little bit of everything in there. Let's look over at the swell now. This is our biggest division. In the swell, let's start with the Geigen principal. A little brighter than the great principal, but it's still very muted and soft back there. So then we have a 4-foot Preston that goes on top. And a 2-foot Octaven. 4-rank plangeux. Bright chorus for the swell, but it's definitely very separate from the great chorus. And then going back down, we have starting with our flutes. We have an 8-foot Gedeckt. It has a 4-foot Flauto Traverso, another open flute. The Flauto Traverso by itself. Gentle, but colorful and interesting. Lovely. And then a Flauto Dolce at 8 foot, soft. Good. And it comes with a flute celeste.
A real celeste this time.
Real flute celeste. All the way down to 8-foot C there. So our celeste, open celeste, goes all the way down to 8-foot C. And something else, you have a 16-foot sub melodia. Melodia, of course, is an open flute, and I know for a fact this is open all the way down to 16. Yes.
Oh, there's something new.
There's room for those pipes in there. We'll have to go look at those later. That's amazing that they were able to do that. We also have a viol de gamba, 8-foot. Stringy sound there. And it has an accompanying viol celeste. Pretty good. Very edgy and bright and stringy.
Yeah.
Good foil to your Klein and to your Flauto Dolce, so you got a lot of options.
A lot of variety here.
And then we've got a full bank of reeds here, starting with our 8-foot hautbois. That's brighter than I was expecting. That's more like the orchestral oboe.
It is,
for a 1925 reading. They might have been altered a little bit over time, but they're very similar in quality. And then we also have an 8-foot trumpet in this swell. Trumpet. That's a lot of sound there. And then we also have 16-foot Posana, which are those independent? I think they are. and then a 4-foot clarion. Let's hear all of those together, the 16, 8, and 4. Big noise. That's a lot of sound coming out of there. And of course, all of that's able to be enclosed. So if you're playing that, you can close down the swell. And get... Now, I didn't mention that the choir is under expression too. So you can couple all of those colors down.
And the solo is under expression.
The solo is? You have, okay. Or those are in the same box?
They're on the same box as the choir.
Right. So okay. And then one more reed in there. We've got a nice Vox Humana buzzing away. And the tremolo came on automatically when you did that, so the Vox automatically trims, yeah. So even if you want to use it without the trim, it's not an option. And then, how does that sound with, say, the strings, the Vox Celeste and the Viol de Gamme?
Sounds out of tune, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, springtime weather.
Yeah. All right, just curious. And then we have a good pedal division, too, in this order. We'll just start right at the bottom. We have a 16-foot open diapason. Back there in that corner. Big opens that just speak right into the room. Then we have a 16-foot sub-principal, which is also back there, and that's the open metal pipes. And then a 16-foot violone. Much gentler. Expect more buzziness out of it.
I use it quite a lot, actually, with the flutes.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's not nearly as present as that sub bass. And then you've got one more. You've got a 16-foot Borden, which is really soft. And I know the high end of that is down, sort of under the floor. So it has some.
With this instrument, you have to be so attuned to where things are in relationship to each other in terms of depth.
Sure.
Usually, I'm thinking, oh, where is something above or lower? But now it's like, oh, which is.
Yeah, because this is not, it's only 2 levels, it's not super high, but it does go all the way back to the wall. And then going on up, we have an 8-foot octave. Oh, we have one more. The sub-melodia and the swell is available in the pedal, right? So, with 5 16-foot options, there were lots of different color and volume. That's great to have in the pedal. Yeah. And only one of them is borrowed, the rest are independent. And then we have an 8-foot octave, which is an extension of the 16-foot open diapason, correct? Yeah. So big open wooden sound back there. And then an 8-foot melodia, which I believe is the same as the sub-melodia. Yeah. Those open flutes in the swell. And then our 8-foot Borden, which is just an extension of the 16-foot. All back down there, crammed in the hole.
Far away.
Then a 4-foot choral bass, which again is an extension of the open diapason, which comes up here. So here, let's hear some of that. Yeah. Very clear. Again, that stop just cuts right through the room. And one more 4-foot, we have a Borden, which is the top of that soft Borden. And that's much more fluty up there. And then going on to our reeds, well, we've got a 16-foot bombard. I want to start with that one, which is big, loud sound. I know that was added later. It's actually way up on top. And it's available at 8 and 4 as well. Add all 3 of those together, you get a nice big pedal. And that's the 32 you've got on there, the contra bombard. And then the swell pizzana is available at 16 in the pedal as well, so we've got that reed down there, which you can combine if you really want to. But you can also close that down in the swell box and have a soft 16.
Yeah, I tend to use the pizzana more often because it's under expression. Yeah, with the congregational
singing. Makes sense, yeah. And then we actually have 2 32s. One of them is an acoustic bass. It's a resultant. The open sub-principal on top of it, a 5th above. Then we have a real 32 in the form of the contra Borden, which takes that Borden on down to the lowest octave. Let's hear that. Soft. It's just adding that rumble underneath. That 32 you feel, you don't really hear. So, and you've got full set of couplers everywhere, 16, 8 and 4, 8 and 4 to the pedal. The combination action was all updated in 1994, so this is all new working stuff. You've got pistons everywhere, more than you could ever need. So that's
all
good.
The memory levels, all the things.
All the modern accoutrements here. And then, multiple tuties you can set. It's very convenient for the organist. So I'd like to hear you play a little bit of it. What would you like to play for us?
I'm going to play from Sister Teresine Fonder's 6 Gregorian Voluntaries for organ.
Teresine Fonder, that's not a name I know.
She is a composer, or was a composer from Oregon. She was a sister in the convent of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary.
Okay.
And she lived up late 1800s into the 1980s.
Okay.
And she wrote music for organ, she wrote music for choir, and I am always in pursuit of music by women composers. There's not that many who wrote for the organ, and I found some of her music used, and I started playing it for churches, and wow, people come up afterwards after the Alleluia to ask, like, who wrote that? This is great. And so I'm playing it today, especially because there's so much variety. I think I change a piston like every 4 to 8 measures. It's a lot of movement with the pieces. And it really shows the different colors of the organ. You'll hear the swells oboe stop. You'll also hear me using the tuba, the solo tuba, very quietly when I have it's enclosed. So. And the nice thing about this tuba is it keeps its tune really well.
Oh,
so sometimes in the summer when the weather is changing a lot, that might be the reed that I use all through the summer, and I'll just couple
really?
it. But
well,
just
you
close
can
it.
Close it because it's not that loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
it's not.
That's
not bad at all.
Compared to what it's open.
Mm-hmm. And if it's in tune, hey, great.
Is Sister Fonder's music still being published?
No, unfortunately, it's not. I'm scheming to get it
Oh,
published.
okay.
I hope that it will be republished.
Well, I can't wait to hear some of it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, great. Thank you.
So to get into the organ, this panel here opens up. There's a little bit of a drop. Shelf. And then we can turn on chamber lights and chest lights. Now, so this is an Austin universal chest. Austin was specialized in these, whereas most wind chests are very narrow and you have to open up the bottom to get in and work on them. The Austin chest you can actually walk inside of because they're that big. So we have a little outside door here. I'm going to go on in. So now we're in this little airlock. The outside door is closed and there's a hole here in this inside door. When I push it, air from the organ actually fills. And it's not real high pressure, but your ears will pop. But now this door opens and we're inside the organ. So now once we're in here, actually, what we're seeing up above us are the actual pallets for, this is the swell that's right above us. And it kind of works like a tracker organ in that the key action runs longwise, and then there's a stop action that activates each one of these stops. So if I pull one of these, you can see that's what the key action would be doing. And then that would lift that pallet and allow the air directly into the pipe. So all of that's right above our head, and we can work on it from under here without having to open up anything. This is actually where the air is coming up from the blower. It's just this box, and if I'm pushing out on it, we can tell there's air pressure coming up. It doesn't feel like there's real high air pressure in here now that we're adjusted to it. In fact, this is only, I think, about 3 inches of air pressure, so that's, if you do the math, it's only like 1 or 2 psi. It's not high air pressure in an organ, but it's enough to make the pipe speak. So going back here, we can actually see along the floor, these are the pedal valves. The pedal pipes, some of them are on the outside. Each one of these is an individual leather pneumatic. How the Austin key action works. We have the first diaphragm of the stop here, and what happens when the stop is turned on, this pneumatic exhaust, the pressure in here pushes the valve in, which makes this bar move. And now when the key plays, it pulls on that stop. If it stops that bar from moving, which then opens the valve. If the stop is off, then it moves. If the stop is on, then the pipe will play. And that's all there is to it. Down here we're underneath the grate, and these are all of the keys for the grate. And as you can see, they're smaller. We have a V layout of the pipes. The largest pipes are on the end, C and C sharp, and the smaller ones in the middle. So the key valves get smaller too because they have less to pull. And so when the key is pressed, this pneumatic deflates. Again, the pressure in here pushes out, and then that moves the bars. So if I've got a stop on and then a key on, then the note will play. And all of this can be accessed, so if there's a problem with the note, then you can just reach up here and you can do all the work without having to lay on your back or climb around underneath an organ. Because we're inside a wind chest, if you want to add pipes to it, it's simple enough to do that. So we have some ranks that have been added here, and holes had to be drilled into the chest and the valve put over it. And these are electromechanical valves by Reasoner, and when I pull on them manually, the pipe speaks. Not the prettiest wiring job here, but it's a good simple way to make that work. Look up here, the same thing has been done, although these were probably original because there are Austin units, but some of them have been replaced with Wix direct electric action units. All that has to happen is a pallet needs to pull away from the wall. This one's pneumatic, this one's electromechanical. There's some other replacements that have happened in there as well. And then down underneath this little window, you can get to where the pedal chest is. So you could climb in there. It's pretty crowded, but if you do need to work on the pedal action, that's how you get to it there. So here's an example of an Austin key action. There's actually a box of them down here because it's nice to have them handy when you replace it. It's a double pneumatic. Normally this is inflated by a spring, internal spring, and this one is also inflated. And then when the magnet opens up, it deflates, which lets air out through this hole, which causes this to pull the action in, and then the tracker would connect to that. And then when you release the key, everything reverses, the spring returns this to the full position, and it moves. So all of this is just to move the tracker just a little bit, but it's a long run. It's got to pull on possibly a lot of valves, so it needs a lot of power. So the size of the pneumatic helps generate a lot of power. It's just the air pressure that's in this room. Here's another example. This is the stop action. It's very similar. It has a smaller pneumatic that controls the release of this one. Just one little rod to pull. Again, a big pneumatic to pull all of that energy behind it and make sure that everything stays nice and snappy. Kind of a complex piece of leather and wood, but it works, and it's a simple idea, even if it takes a lot of pieces to make it work. Example of an Austin gain switch. Same idea. We've got a pneumatic that when it releases, it lets all the air out of this larger pneumatic. When it pulls down, it connects each one of these wires. There's 61, so this turns on some sort of straight rank that has its own magnets. It's just connecting the power for each one of those connections with one gain switch. They're not connected to the action. They have their own little individual pull downs, and they're activated by a single unit valve. And so that's how we handle some of the borrowed stops. I believe that's the Posauna in the swell, and that way we can play it from the pedal or the swell. And so there's just a bunch of those that have their individual units. They work the same way, but instead of activating a large valve that pulls a whole tracker, it just pulls one single valve down. Get back out, we got to go through the airlock. This door is not going to budge thanks to the air pressure here, so we actually have to release this, and now the air pressure on the other side of the door, and this side, the same, we go right back out. Once we're in the airlock, actually this lid lifts up and allows you access to some of the action that's up above the little airlock. And it's just a plate with some gasketing around it, and the air pressure, again, holds it all in place and makes it airtight. Now right now, again, the outside door won't open because the air pressure is holding it shut. So we have a similar little air release, and it lets this air out. Ears pop as we can go back outside. So now back outside the swell, behind this door, the first thing we see is that 16-foot open sub-melodia running all the way up against the length of the wall. It's amazing to have that in a swell. Usually you get a 16-foot stopped flute. And now we're up on top of that chest we were just underneath. So now we're in the swell. There's our Vox Humana is in a box in the back of the room. Strings, traverse flute, more strings, the roar flute, oboe, trumpet and clarion. The Posauna is over here on this chest, this big thing. There's our mixture. Here's the top of the 16-foot contra melodia. And a big set of swell shades for the whole room. Through this door we have the solo, and then the choir is down below. And the choir chest is actually on the floor, and we can get into that from the other side, but we can see it from up here. But for the solo, we have to go through this way. Get to this upper level, and swing a walkboard down. That's a big, heavy walkboard. Get a little mini ladder to step up onto it. We're in the solo division. This first stop we see is the orchestral oboe. Behind that is our tuba, and our French horns back there, our big strings, our big flute rather, and the diapason. The strings are not actually in place. And then we have, even though it's in the choir, the celesta and the harp are in here. The bass notes are up above the swell shades. You can see out into the church there. The grate is behind the solo here. And then the choir's down below. And then we're back down here on the floor. We have this walkway, very well lit, but there's some pedal pipes. We have new electronics. This is probably where the old relay was. And then there's some of the pedal boarding. Come along here. And now we're where the pedal pipes are. This is the top of the open diapason here, actually the OE of the open diapason. They get higher as they go up, and there's some lower ones back there. And now, this is the choir division. There's the solo where we were just a bit ago. And it's crowded to get in here. There's our English horn and our clarinet right in the front. And then all of our other stops. Klein Erzähler is tapered back there. It's a tuning record here that starts back in 1956 and just keeps going down to 1968 when they ran out of space on the card. 1961 was a cold year. We see more of these chest access panels here. This is how you get into the solo action. You turn the wind off and you can just unscrew those and you'll be able to move those panels up to get to the action. Get into the grate. Just take out the grate. So we see the grate division here. You can see there actually used to be some pipes that aren't here anymore. Not really sure what that was. The added mixture is right there. And then on top of the solo box is where the 32-foot pedal is. We can see the 8-foot diapason, which is actually decorative even though you really can't see it. This is the walk board from where we access grate pipes, mixture. Some of the pedal over there, I believe. There's our open diapason. Oh, Christmas lights. Every organ needs Christmas lights. To get to the rest of the pedal, we go up. We're up on top of the organ now. This is the pedal 32s laying on their back. Winded from this chest right here. And it's a little hard to see. Sorry, my light went out, but there is the 16-foot bombard, which was added. To get to that, you used to come up this, go down this ladder, and you'd walk along the tops of those 16-foot opens and stand there and tune it. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for showing us
My
this
pleasure.
wonderful 1925 Austin organ. And of course, you have some other activities besides playing this instrument here. Tell us about some of the things you're doing online.
I do. I actively podcast and blog, and I post a lot of resources for church musicians. They're at my website, sarah-bereza.com. And my podcast for church musicians is Music and the Church, and you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts. A lot of interviews with organists, as well as other people who are writing about church music as scholars, other kinds of musicians.
Wonderful. It's a great podcast for church musicians and those interested in organ music. You can find a link to it down in the description. We'll make sure everybody can find it really well. And remember, for streaming classical organ music 24 hours a day, visit our 3 stations, organlive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and click the thumbs up button. If you're interested in supporting the Organ Media Foundation and helping us make more videos and keep organ music on the internet, you can go to our website, organ.media, and click on support. There you can make a contribution. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so contributions can be tax deductible. Thanks for watching. I'm Brent Johnson. I'll talk to you next time.